You were a step up financially, but he makes me feel. That's what she said when I opened the bedroom door. He didn't flinch. She didn't panic, just stood in our bed, tangled sheet, blouse undone, calm like it wasn't a mistake. His jeans were on the floor, a glass spilled on her nightstand. The honeymoon photo had fallen face down. My name is Daniel, 39, investment analyst. I paid for our wedding, paid off her debt, never cheated, never even came close. We were married for 2 weeks. I didn't yell, didn't ask questions, didn't threaten. She crossed her arms. I needed something real, something alive. I said nothing. You're cold, Daniel, always were. The way you plan everything, it kills the moment. I looked at her once. You don't look at me anymore like you used to. Nothing from me. She stepped closer, voice softer now. We can talk later. This doesn't have to be the end. I nodded once. I turned back to the closet, pulled out the carry-on, the one we took on our honeymoon. I packed shirts by color, rolled the socks. There was a silver compass keychain on the dresser. She gave it to me before our wedding. To always find your way back, she'd said. I held it in my palm. Just for a second, then pocketed it. She leaned against the doorframe as I zipped the bag. I didn't plan for this, she said. I didn't respond, just walked past her. At the door, I paused, saw the chipped wedding photo still propped up, left it there. In the truck, I placed the compass and the wedding ring in the glove compartment. I sat behind the wheel, engine running. Didn't pull away for a while. Outside, the sky was gray. Road, wet. A billboard flashed by. Honeymoon getaway exit 42. I kept driving, stopped at a gas station, filled the tank. Didn't look at the total. Inside the restroom, I washed my hands longer than needed. Looked in the mirror. Still me. The motel was cheap. I paid cash, didn't leave a name. Inside, I laid the ring and compass on the desk. Found a pad, wrote one word, returned. Folded it around the ring. There was a small safe in the closet. I used our wedding date, placed the note and ring inside, closed it, turned the dial. Back in the truck, I checked my phone. One missed call. Her, I deleted. The voicemail before it played. Diner next door opened early. I sat by the window. Black coffee, dry toast. Rain tapping the glass. The couple at the corner booth was laughing. I didn't hear the joke. Didn't care. I opened the gallery on my phone. Scrolled past the wedding. Deleted them all in one motion. The waitress brought the check. I left a tip. She smiled politely. I nodded once. Outside, I stood by the truck. Cold air, quiet lot. I held the compass for a moment. Still warm. Back in the truck, I didn't drive far. Parked by the overlook. Same place I proposed last fall. The lake was quiet, overcast, water flat like glass. I got out, leaned against the hood, arms crossed. A jogger passed with headphones. Didn't notice me. That felt right. I pulled out the compass, opened the clasp, watched it spin. North pointed away from town. Back at the motel, I found a laundry bag in the closet, dropped in the shirt I'd worn the day we married, folded once. Didn't pack it again. In the drawer by the bed was a notepad with the motel's name stamped in red. I wrote one line under the word, returned. You don't get to have this part of me. Tore the page. Folded it again. Slid it under the ring. At a hardware store 2 towns over, I bought a small padlock. Returned to the motel. Opened the safe again. Placed the compass, ring, and note inside a tin from my travel kit. Locked it shut. Sealed it in the safe once more. This wasn't revenge. This was accounting. The last item in my wallet was the honeymoon receipt. She booked it. I paid. I tore it in half, then in half again. Dropped the pieces into the motel sink and ran the tap. Next, morning I showered, trimmed my beard. Clean shirt, no ring, no tan line. I stopped by the post office, bought a padded envelope, wrote her name on it, no return address. Inside, the compass, the ring, the note. I left it at the counter. Didn't say a word. No rage, no speech, just balance. I used to wake up at 5:45, every day. Same routine. Coffee, one slice of toast, suit, pressed the night before. I liked things that held their shape. Even under pressure, I'd drive across town in silence, no podcasts, no calls. Just the low hum of the engine and the route I knew by heart. Work wasn't flashy, but I was good. Portfolio analysis, risk planning, quiet wins. I met her at a friend's birthday. She was late. Made a joke about missing half her life being on time. She said I looked like someone who never forgot an umbrella. I didn't. She laughed, said I had still water energy. I didn't know what that meant, but she said it like it was a compliment. She moved in after 6 months, said she felt safe around me. Like a grown-up, she teased. I liked that she saw me that way. I handled the bills, she handled the decor. I didn't mind the throw pillows or the candles. She made the place warmer. I made it stable. When I proposed, she cried. Said no one had ever made her feel chosen before. I believed her. I paid for the ring. Didn't ask about budget. Just wanted it to be right. Same with the wedding. She wanted a string quartet. I found one. She asked for signature, cocktails with his and hers names. I rolled my eyes, then made the menus myself. 2 weeks before the ceremony, she handed me a small box. Inside was a keychain, silver, with her initials etched into a heart-shaped pendant. Attached was the spare key to the new apartment. Now, I'm yours, she said. Come home to me. I kept it in my pocket the entire wedding day. I picked the place where we'd live, signed the lease, set up the utilities. She said she loved that I took care of things. She said, I don't want a prince, I want a partner. There were signs, little things. A coworker of hers started texting more often. She said he was just helping with a project. I trusted her. She started sleeping late. Said she was tired. I brought her breakfast in bed. My sister asked if I was okay. Said she seemed distant, distracted. I told her we were just adjusting to married life. A week before the end, she left a voicemail, running errands, don't wait up. I made dinner, set the table, lit one of those candles she loved. She never came home that night. I didn't ask questions the next day, didn't demand an explanation. She hugged me, said she was just exhausted. I believed her. That's the part that stings. Not the betrayal. The fact that I defended her to myself. I wasn't just hurt. I was wrong. I remember our first vacation together, just a long weekend, rented cabin by a lake, no signal, no emails, just the two of us and a pack of cards we never used. We didn't need to fill the silence. She said that's what made her feel safe. She left notes sometimes, slipped into my suitcase before business trips. I miss your boring voice already. I'd smile reading them in hotel rooms with beige walls and quiet air conditioning. I kept one in my wallet for months. It turned soft from wear. She loved taking photos of us, Polaroids mostly, said they felt more real than phone pictures. There was one she loved. Me half asleep on the couch, tie loosened, her curled beside me with a bowl of popcorn. She called it our normal. Said that's what she always wanted. When she got promoted at work, we celebrated with wine and takeout. She toasted to building a life that made sense. I believed we were. There was a night, 3 weeks before the wedding. She cried out of nowhere, said she didn't feel ready. I asked if she meant ready to marry me. She said no, she was just overwhelmed. We sat on the kitchen floor until she stopped shaking. I made tea. She called me her anchor. That word stayed with me. When the florist forgot the centerpiece order, I drove across town to find replacements. Didn't tell her, just handled it. She never noticed. That felt like the point. After the wedding, we danced in the living room to no music, her head on my chest, my hand in her hair. She said, "Promise you won't change." I said, "I won't if you won't." We both lied. She gave me the keychain the night we signed the lease. It wasn't expensive, just thoughtful. She said, "This is us. Simple, but strong. I ran my thumb across the engraving every time I locked up. That's what made it unbearable. Not the act, not the man, but that everything she said, every word I held on to meant nothing to her. And I meant nothing at all. The next morning the house was too quiet. The closet door was still open. Her perfume lingered in the air, sweet, synthetic, now nauseating. She didn't speak to me, just walked past in a robe like nothing had happened. She made coffee, didn't ask if I wanted any. Sat at the kitchen counter scrolling her phone, legs crossed like a guest. I picked up the photo frame from the floor. The glass had a crack through it. I didn't fix it, just set it down, face up, beside the sink. Later that day she said, I messed up, but it didn't mean anything. Then, we were moving too fast. Then, you were safe. That's not always a good thing. I didn't answer. She kept talking anyway. You didn't even fight for me. You just walked away. I nodded once. That was true. Fighting would have meant she was worth it. 2 days later, she took off her ring and left it on the nightstand. Didn't say a word. It stayed there for a week before I put it in a drawer. She started going out more. Didn't say where. Came back smelling like new soap and someone else's cologne. One night, she changed the password to the Netflix account. The next day, the joint account showed a hotel charge. She wasn't hiding anything anymore. She was daring me to react. I didn't. I worked longer hours. Came home late. Sometimes I slept on the couch. Other times I just sat in my truck with the engine off. Listened to the ticking of the cooling metal. Friends stopped calling. Some didn't know what happened. Others didn't want to pick sides. The ones who stayed offered beers and hollow advice. My sister came by once, saw the dishes in the sink, the guest bedroom made up, asked if I was okay. I said, I'm figuring things out. She didn't press. Then came the fundraiser. Her company was hosting a gala for some nonprofit. I showed up because I was invited weeks ago, didn't know she'd bring him. She introduced him as a friend from work. He wore the same cologne, had the same smirk I saw in our bedroom. She didn't flinch when she saw me, just smiled, said, Oh, you made it, like I was the one crashing her night. I left before dessert. Didn't say goodbye. A week passed. Then 2. I started boxing up things in the office, old paperwork, receipts, she noticed. Asked, You going somewhere? I said, Just organizing. She shrugged. Didn't ask more. Her tone shifted. Less cold, more careful. She brought home wine. Cooked once. Laughed too loudly at her own joke. Then one morning she stood at the doorway while I laced my shoes. Said, I never meant to hurt you. I didn't look up, just tightened the knot. She waited for something. An answer, maybe. Got nothing. That night she knocked on my door. The guest room said, Can we talk? I opened the door. She stood there in pajamas, no makeup, eyes red, lips trembling. The look of someone trying to rewind time. I made a mistake, she said. I panicked. It all moved too fast. I nodded slowly. Then she added, You were a step up financially, but he makes me feel. She looked down after saying it. Like even she didn't believe the words anymore. I didn't speak. I didn't argue. I didn't need to. The next morning I packed the envelope, sealed it. No note. It contained the keychain, her gift, her words, her promise. A small thing. But it carried the entire lie. I drove to the airport, knew she'd be there and she had a business trip scheduled, waited by the drop-off lane. Truck idle, window down. She saw me, walked up cautiously. I'm just here to return this, I said, and held out the envelope. She took it slowly, looked confused, opened it, saw the keychain. Her mouth parted, but no words came. People passed by, luggage rolling, kids crying, taxis honking. She looked at me like she finally understood, like everything she'd thrown away just landed in her. Anne's tears welled up, she bit her lip. I didn't mean to lose you, she whispered. I gave her a half smile. No malice, no pity, just peace. Then I turned and walked away. She didn't follow, and I didn't look back. I didn't raise my voice, didn't make threats, didn't even tell her I'd spoken to a lawyer. But I had. The day after the airport, I went to the office, early, filed a temporary hold on our joint assets, opened a new account in my name only, closed the card she'd been using. Quiet moves, no announcements. I made a copy of the lease and highlighted every payment I'd made, printed bank statements, created a folder, labeled it just records. I wasn't angry. I was focused, the kind of focus that builds when you've got nothing left to lose but your peace. She noticed by the end of the week, tried to use the card at a boutique. It declined. She texted, "Your card isn't working?" I replied, "That account's closed." She didn't answer. That night she waited in the kitchen, arms crossed. "You're freezing me out?" I said, "I'm protecting myself." She scoffed. "This is childish." I walked past her, didn't engage. She slammed a drawer, said, "You're not even trying to fix this." I stopped, turned to her once. I did. 2 weeks ago. Then I left the room. A few days later, her tone changed again, softer, apologetic. She made dinner, left my favorite beer on the table. I didn't touch it. She asked if I'd consider counseling. I said I'd consider peace. She didn't like that answer. That weekend, I got a call from Matt, a mutual friend. Said he saw something strange. Showed me her social media. She'd posted a selfie at a bar, captioned, "Sometimes people pretend to be perfect husbands, until they're not." Dozens of comments. Friends chiming in. Some defending me. Most didn't. She was flipping the script. Painting herself as the victim. She even told her parents that I'd become distant, cold, and financially controlling. Her mother called me, asked if I was okay, said she didn't understand what had gone wrong. I said, "Neither do I." She didn't push. Then came the certified letter. She'd filed for an emergency claim, accused me of financial manipulation, said I was hiding funds. Attached were screenshots of our old account before I froze it, emails she cherry-picked to imply I'd planned this from the beginning. Her lawyer had been on this since week 1. That was the moment it shifted. I'd been patient, strategic. But she wasn't just reacting. She was executing a plan of her own, and she was 2 steps ahead. I didn't tell anyone about the letter. I just sat there for a while, at my desk at home, reading the pages over and over. The accusations were absurd, but not random. She'd built a story around my silence. She knew I wasn't the kind of man to defend himself publicly. That was the trap. She'd push a lie, and count on my dignity to let it spread. I didn't react. I documented. I created a second folder. This one labeled Response. Every date, every text, every transaction, chronological, precise, calm. But the ripples had started. My supervisor pulled me aside after a morning meeting, said someone from HR asked about behavioral shifts. Apparently a concerned party had submitted an anonymous note. I didn't ask who, didn't need to. Later that week, my sister called, said Claire had reached out, told her she was worried about me, said I'd been isolating, withdrawing, that maybe I was depressed. My sister asked if it was true. I said no. She believed me, but I could hear the hesitation. I booked an appointment with a lawyer, brought both folders, explained everything without raising my voice. He nodded slowly, flipping through the papers. "She's building a case on emotion," he said. "You're answering with evidence." I left his office with 3 new forms. Instructions. Next steps. The storm was just beginning. That night I sat on the edge of the bed, alone, held the key she'd given me months ago. It was supposed to open the door to our new house. Attached to it was a small rose gold heart. She'd said it was so I'd never lose home. Now it just felt like metal. My phone lit up. A message from her. "Can we talk? I hate how we left things." I didn't reply. Some things don't need closure. They need distance. The next morning, I walked into the courthouse. Not to fight. Just to file. Quietly. My lawyer had drafted a counter-motion, measured, factual, undeniable. It wasn't about revenge, it was about clarity, about putting an end to the noise she was trying to create. I left no notes, no warnings, just signatures where they needed to be. On the way out, I passed by her lawyer in the hallway. He didn't recognize me, but I recognized the file in his hand. She was doubling down. That night, she called twice. I didn't answer. Theo, third time, she left a voicemail, said she was scared, said this wasn't what she wanted, said maybe we could start over. I listened once, deleted it. Then I opened the drawer, took out the key, wrapped it in a handkerchief, placed it in a small envelope. I wrote one line on the back. For what you thought this was. I didn't send it yet, but I knew where I would leave it, and I knew what was coming next. She thought I wouldn't push back, that I'd keep absorbing the hits, but I'd already done what I needed to. My lawyer filed a motion to dissolve the joint claim she'd made against our assets, based on a breach of good faith. Included were transcripts, screenshots, and a timeline that showed everything. The affair, the lies, the manipulation. He called it a surgical counterstrike. I called it closure. 2 days later, she showed up outside my office. I didn't know how she found me. She waited by the entrance like someone trying to return something they'd stolen. I read it all, she said, voice trembling, makeup light, like she thought looking softer might help. You didn't have to go that far. I said nothing. She stepped closer. I was stupid. I panicked. I didn't think you'd actually walk away. I kept silent. Then she tried a softer route. You were always solid, always safe. I ruined the one thing that made sense in my life. That's when I spoke. I could have taken you to court for defamation, made you explain every lie under oath. She swallowed hard. I know. I looked her in the eyes, but I won't. She blinked, confused. You're not pressing charges? No, I said. That's not who I am. There was a pause, the kind that fills space with weight. Then I pulled the envelope from my coat pocket, handed it to her. She opened it slowly, took out the key, the one with the rose gold heart. Read the line on the back of the envelope. For what you thought, this was. Her eyes welled up. She clutched the key like it meant something again. But I was already walking away. She didn't call after me. She didn't have to. The decision was made, and it was mine. The next morning, her lawyer called mine. Apparently, she wanted to settle privately, no court, no press, no statements. Too late. The documents had already been filed. Clean, factual, devastating. They included her signed prenup. The clause she forgot. Infidelity voids all claims. She'd lose access to the property. No stake in the new house. No claim to my business account. And that wasn't even the part that hit hardest. She had built her story around being the one abandoned, the innocent, the one I walked away from. Now her own signature was the undoing, in her words, her writing, her terms. I didn't gloat, didn't post anything, didn't even tell mutual friends. But people found out. Her ex stopped replying. Her parents reached out, awkward, uncertain, asked if I wanted to talk. I said, no hard feelings, just learning. That's when she showed up again. Not in tears this time, but armored, like she thought strength would fix what softness didn't. You could have destroyed me, she said. I didn't. You still can. I won't. She looked away. I keep thinking about that trip. Santorini, the way you looked at me on that cliffside. I nodded. I remember. It wasn't fake, she whispered. I nodded again. That's why I'm not angry. Then I took out the envelope, held it between us. She stared at it like it was radioactive. She opened it with trembling hands, the key with the rose gold heart. Her gift, her symbol, her anchor, and one line in my handwriting. For what you thought this was. She said nothing, didn't cry, didn't beg. She just stood there, still, like the night I found her. I turned around, walked away. There was nothing else to say. Later that night I walked past the house we were supposed to live in. The porch light was on, a timer I'd never bothered to reset. I paused at the gate, took a breath, then I turned and kept walking. No need to lock up what no longer belonged. To me, I moved into a smaller place. Just 2 rooms and a balcony that caught the morning light. The furniture didn't match. The couch had a stain I couldn't get out. But it was mine. All of it. Each morning, I made black coffee in the old press her mother gave us, the one she left behind. I didn't keep it for the memory. I kept it because it still worked. I started running again. Nothing serious and just 5 kilometers along the canal. Felt my lungs catch, then clear. The sound of my own breath was more honest than anything I'd heard in weeks. On Wednesdays, I took a night class in small engine repair, not for work, just to rebuild something with my hands. Something that made sense. One afternoon, I donated a box of our old photo frames. Kept one. Replaced the picture. A mountain view. Fog. No people in it. The key with the rose gold heart stayed in my drawer for weeks. I didn't look at it. Didn't touch it. Until I did. No ceremony. No message. I dropped it in the donation bin on 7th, the same place I'd left the others. The next day, I bought a new keychain. Stainless steel. Blank. It held only one key. Mine. Some days I pass by the cafe where she once met me after work. It's a sushi place now. Loud. Crowded. I don't go in. Other days I forget what street it was on. That's how I know I'm okay. I don't think she ever meant to stay. But I did. And now I'm still here. Quiet. Present. Moving forward. Not angry. Just clear. Some things you return. Some you outgrow. The gentleman's revenge isn't loud, but it's always personal. If this felt personal, make it personal. Subscribe now, and don't miss tomorrow's story.